Hey guys, Josh Grover again from Strategic Adjustments. We stopped here at Turner Falls in Davis, Oklahoma. Crazy awesome view. Just kind of spur of the moment, wanted to do a video for everyone. And I'm actually going to go into a hand analysis on a hand that I played, and I'm going to tell you the thought processes that went on, reasons that you can take, different options that you can take, what the best option is, how I played the hand wrong. You know, I'm admitting right now I played the hand wrong. I look back on it and I definitely had a better decision to make, and I'm gonna explain why and how I thought through the hand, and how you could also be thinking through hands as well. So if I go into it from the beginning, I'll give you the gist of it. A guy straddled, meaning that he doubled the blind under the gun and then he becomes the new big blind. There were a few limpers into me in the small blind with 6-8 of diamonds. I ended up calling the straddle, and he made it about 5 times more than what the straddle was worth. So he raised that amount, and given the kind of player that he was, I had been playing with him for about an hour and a half. I know that his raising range is most Broadway hands, you know, suited jack 10s, queen jack, hands like that, ace king, ace queen, king queen, and a lot of pocket pairs. Not too much else, maybe every once in a while 7, 8, or 10, 9, but really rare. I don't really see any other hands raising there. Even like 6s and below, I don't see him raising either. Everyone called to me, I elected to call. Flop came king 10 7 with 2 spades. I believe it was the king and 10 of spades. I checked. I was first to act, having air in that spot, and having 4 people attack behind. Just obviously you don't ever want to fire there. The guy who had raised pre-flop actually elects to check, and given his range that he's raising with pre-flop, the only times he's really checking there is if he's planning to check raise, in my mind. Because like nut flush draws should be leading there. King queen, ace king, king jack is probably leading there. Sometimes he has ace 10, or maybe a hand like pocket 9s, pocket 8s, something along that line, or queens or jacks that are trying to pot control. That makes sense also. So it actually went and checked around, and so at that point I didn't sense any strength from anybody, figuring that the only other strong hand that could be in the pot would be the guy from the straddle spot, and he actually elected to check a draw heavy board, and the only way he'd be doing that is by check raising, like I explained. So the turn came a 5, offsuit 5, which gave me an open ender and an opportunity to stab at the pot, which I elect to take, and I stabbed quite large, I believe for like 75 to 80% size of the pot, and he actually elected to call. So at this point, with other people behind to act as well, at this point his range still includes the same hands that I was talking about, all the drawing hands, you know, ace queen, ace jack, queen jack even, hands that don't want to fold, don't want to build a huge pot. You still could have a 10, queens, jacks a lot of the time, and the other players fold. Now the river actually makes me a pair. The river comes a 6, which, looking back at the hand, I can represent a lot more than he can at this point. So I'm going to go through the hand analysis of the wrong decision that I made. I took a while on my decision, and I elected to make the decision to check call. Given that his range, I didn't think that he would be betting too often with a 10, queens or jacks or 9s or 8s. I didn't think that he'd like really ever be betting those hands. So breaking that down, I thought if I checked, he'd check back all those hands, and if I bet, he might just hero call me, which is actually a good thought process, right? Okay, so the thought process up to that point is good. If I bet and bluff at him, a lot of the times he hero calls with those hands, like a lot of the time, and it actually becomes a really bad bluff spot for me. Also, my thoughts are that he's not going to be value betting too thin in this spot, and his only value bets could really be a king or maybe ace 10, maybe, for his given range. And he actually does elect to bet. He elects to bet about half the size of the pot, and I didn't have too much more behind that. I had about 2.5 times the size of the bet that he made on the river. So given this decision, I actually, given his hand range, I figured about 30% of the time I'm good, and the other 70% of the time I'm not. And I elected to call, given the pot size, given the pot odds. But looking at the situation, breaking the hand down, giving all the hands that he could possibly have. By far my best move would have been to check shove that river. By far, bar none. Given the player and his style, and him not, it's just so much more difficult to hero call a check shove on the river than me just leading into him. And his range that's betting is all of his air and all of his mediocre type hands, like queens, jacks, ace 10, queen 10, jack 10 maybe, or like some spasm pocket pairs that might even have my 6 beat. Even though I didn't think he'd be betting those hands too often, even if he did elect to bet them, a check shove takes those hands completely out of his control, because I can represent a lot more than he can on that board. I think I win 95% of the time, to be honest, with that move, except for the very, very small chance times where he's got some random set that he played really strange and awful in a 4-way pot, 5-way pot. I mean, which could happen, but I didn't think he was anywhere near a set. Just going through the hand and thinking it through the way I did, this is a really good practice to do. Even if you lose a pot or play a hand wrong, or just look back, puzzle it out, think about the situation, and think about all the possible moves you could have made and what the best one would have been. But don't do it in hindsight. Don't be like, I'm not trying to do this in hindsight. Like, I lost the pot, that obviously wasn't the best move. No, I'm not doing that at all. I'm looking at all the possible situations and then giving his hand range out and then thinking like, wow, the best possible move would have by far been to check shove that river, because very, 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 very small percentage of the time can he call that. Like I said, if I led river, he's gonna with a bluff, he can hero call there a lot of the time, even like more than half the time. So anytime you have an opportunity like this to puzzle it out, lay out a hand, do it. You'll get much better at playing poker. It'll give you a lot better outlook at your playing style and thinking about your opponents and situations. And yeah, just take every opportunity like you can to do this. I hope you guys learned a little something from me breaking this down. I'm gonna have my cameraman get a really awesome shot for you guys, because this place is beautiful. There's a huge gorge. We have some falls in the background, a lot of people swimming, having fun. We're gonna go check it out now too. It looks great. It looks a lot of fun. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe below. We're happy to have you once again. Just giving it out to you, giving you guys a lot of value. Glad to have you part of the team. We'll see y'all next time.